Welcome to the Regenerative Warrior Show with your host, Dr. Ross Carter. Did you know that there are about 4,500 new HIV cases around the world every single day? And despite huge strides we've made so far, thanks to antiretroviral drugs, almost 1 million people every year still die from AIDS and HIV complications. Even though we've made giant leaps in treating HIV, the drugs that are currently available just can't repair the lasting damage to the immune system. However, now it seems we've discovered a treatment that can not only eradicate the HIV virus from the body, but it can help your immune system bounce back in full strength. Hi, I'm Dr. Ross Carter with the Regenerative Warrior Show, bringing you the best ways for medical professionals to market, manage, and magnify their practice weekly. In this episode, we're going to look at groundbreaking and revolutionary new HIV treatment that I just mentioned. We'll also show you how to get a $14,000 in tax credits for each person you employ. And then, would you like to get 3 years younger in just 8 weeks? Who wouldn't? Well, I'm going to show you how next. And we're going to do an easy Google My Business SEO strategy to outrank your competitors in Google Maps. And finally, our special guest today is Dr. Duncan Ross. He will discuss the difference between a stem cell and an exosome. We have a fantastic episode this week, so stay tuned.
Harder, harder, faster, faster, stronger, stronger, future, future.
They keep telling me that I make them stronger. Epigenetics I change so they can feel much younger. When it comes to health, I'm the great restorer. Lives improve daily because I'm a regenerative warrior.
First up, a treatment that can reduce viral load, boost the body's immunity, and restore lymphoid follicle damage due to the HIV virus. Now, antiretroviral drugs changed HIV from a death sentence into a highly manageable condition. And while they're saving millions of lives, they have their limitations. Apart from everything else, ART pills have to be taken every day for the rest of your life. And that's just one reason we're still looking for a cure. And it looks like we've taken a giant leap forward thanks to stem cell therapy. You see, when the HIV first infects a host, it damages cells in the gut called lymphoid follicles. Now, these follicles play a huge role in the body's immune system. Now, it's a pretty smart move on the part of the virus, as it basically prevents the host from fighting back as it replicates. It's also what eventually leads us to AIDS, which is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. And one thing that antiretrovirals can't do is fix the damage to the gut, at least not on their own. Time for some good news. Researchers at the University of California recently discovered a special type of cell, an MSC, that could help the body completely eradicate the virus and repair that damaged lymphoid follicles in the gut. When that happens, the immune system can bounce back. Now, because we can't do these kinds of tests on humans with HIV, the study was performed using rhesus monkeys, which share about 93% of our DNA. The monkeys that were given treatment showed immediate benefits, including a rapid rise in antibodies and T immune cells, as well as a restoration of the lymphoid follicles. That's the part that antiretroviral drugs can't do alone. It's hoped that this treatment could provide huge promises for all sorts of immune disorders like MS, lupus, celiac disease, and rheumatoid arthritis. Now, if you're a fan of the show, you'll know that stem cell therapy is a huge passion of mine. And if you're keen on learning more about regenerative medicine, how you can offer it to your patients, then I'd love to help you out. Find me at regenerativewarrior.com or reach out to me at info@regenerativewarrior.com. Something else we can take from this story is how important good gut health is for a strong immune system. Now, it's a pretty trendy topic right now, so I would strongly recommend you look into offering advice on gut health to your patients. Consider using gut testing and prebiotics and probiotics from a company like Viome. Up next, how would you like to get cash back for each staff member that your practice employs? We're talking about thousands of dollars here, and it's totally legal, but you have to act quick. If you haven't heard of the Employee Retention Credit, then listen up. Now, there are so many businesses, including healthcare practices, that saw their profits slump big time during the pandemic. Now, if your revenue has declined in the last quarter, going back to 2020, then help is at hand. It's all about the Employee Retention Credit, or ERC. The ERC offers a credit of up to $5,000 for each employee you retain from March 2020 to December 2020. and up to $14,000 for each retained employee from January 2021 to June 2021. That's right, the law applies retrospectively to 2020, so you can still claim back some of the losses now. Here's how it works. If you qualify, you can claim your credit immediately by reducing payroll taxes sent to the IRS. Now, if your credit exceeds payroll taxes, then you can request a direct refund from the IRS. As with any tax-related issue, it can be a little complicated, but the chances of getting a nice chunk of change back in your back pocket, I would suggest all my viewers find out if they qualify for the ERC right now. How would you like to turn back the clock and get 3 years younger in just 8 weeks? Now, that sounds too good to be true. Well, apparently it's not, at least according to the research just published in the journal Aging. It's all about a process called DNA methylation. Basically, it's the process where the genes turn off as we get older. As time goes on, DNA methylation causes cells and tissue to become damaged. But there are simpler changes we and our patients can make to halt or sometimes even reverse this process. It was these changes that researchers put to a test in a study, and the results were pretty spectacular. In over just 8 weeks of time, the participants showed a significant reduction in biological age of their cells. So how did they do it? The researchers focused on lifestyle changes and specific nutrients known to reduce DNA methylation. These included focusing on plant-based foods and phytonutrients, as well as 30 minutes of light daily exercise and relaxation techniques like Tai Chi. Aside from holistic approach, they incorporated some newer practices like intermittent fasting, epigenetic testing, and sleep management. All of these interventions combined to reduce the participants' biological age markers 3.23 years over an 8-week program. You can imagine the results you might get if you commit to these kinds of lifestyle changes for good. These kinds of studies are excellent for anyone in the healthcare industry, as they back up the advice we've been giving patients for years. They also show the promise for new practices. For example, a big component in the trial was the inclusion of a daily probiotic supplement, as well as fruit and vegetable powder. An easy Google My Business SEO strategy to outrank your competitors in Google Maps. So the first thing you want to look for in your listing is you want to make sure you have the keyword for the service that you want to show up for. Let's say I'm a patient and I'm looking for a functional medicine practitioner near me. So this is what comes up naturally on Google. Now it knows where I am, so it's going to give me some advertisements up here. And let's say I skip down the ads and then I want to find somebody close to me. So I'm in downtown West Palm. The first one comes up is Bonnie Mackey is a certified functional medicine practitioner. So the title actually has the keyword functional medicine, right? Now, if you look at this one, it doesn't have it, but this one does as well. So these two are the main two that are going to show up with that keyword. So let's look at a functional medicine doctor in Atlanta, for example. Probably skip that and then maybe go to your maps, because normally your maps is going to come up, but I'm looking for a different area, so it's looking for some other information. So here's what it's giving me here, your two ads, and then right here, the first one that shows up, Atlanta Functional Medicine. Now there's two keywords that's in this one. Not only does it have functional medicine, but it also has the word Atlanta. So what you want to do is whatever specialty you want to show up for, let's say it's functional medicine, you want to have that in the title, as well as the city or the state or wherever it is you're trying to become dominant. I would say the city. In this case, you could see this is the first one that's not an ad. That's an ad, but this one is a listing here. So it's really simple to do this. Now, here's the Google guidelines. Says that you cannot put keywords in your title unless that's actually the title of your business. Most of us are not going to have our names listed as Atlanta Functional Medicine, but some people will. But to compete here, you're going to have to do something different. Now, what I would suggest is buy a URL and create a landing page using that URL name, or even just redirect it. I'll show you what I mean. So if you want to look at what your listing looks like, go to Google My Business, and you're going to click on right here, Google My Business, and it'll show you, sign in, it's going to show you the businesses that you have listed under that Gmail account that you have to have. Let's look at my business listing here. What I was promoting was stem cell therapy. So I had Doc Stem Cell, and this is Palm Beach Gardens. And then there's one Doc Stem Cell of West Palm Beach. So I have the keyword Doc Stem Cell and then the city. So if you look up, you do a search of stem cell doctors in either Palm Beach Gardens or West Palm Beach, I'm the first one that shows up. Here's where you can edit it if you need to. So all you do is go in here, and this is where your business name is going to be. You can click this little pencil and you can edit the name here. So that's how you can change the name. Then what you want to do is you can have it go to a website, which you would want it to be very similar to what, like here's mine, docstemcell.net. You see this docstemcell.net doesn't redirect to my main website. There's not a website on this, it's a redirect. So what I'm trying to tell you is simply go to either GoDaddy or Namecheap or however you want to get your URL. Buy a URL for $10 or so. You can use that website for your business listing, have it redirect wherever you want it to go, whether it go to a main page, a landing page, your website, whatever it is. But it doesn't have to be your website. It can just redirect to it. So this way you can have the keywords in your website name as well as your business name. And that way, when you do a search for stem cell therapy close to me or my area, I am going to show up number 1, as you can see here. That's how you can alter your Google Maps listing to have your page show up number 1 on all the listings. And now for our special guest, Dr. Duncan Ross. He will discuss the difference between a stem cell and an exosome.
Stem cell is very large compared to an exosome, and it contains genetic information in the form of DNA, RNA, and protein. So the difference between a cell and an exosome really would be that the exosome is just the instructions without the DNA. So an exosome cannot replicate on its own, and that's pretty key. It's also key from a regulatory perspective in that it makes the FDA happy that you can't have uncontrolled growth with an exosome, which would be dangerous. It's also harder to harbor a virus that might be dangerous to a person, because again, there's no DNA there. And it really carries the instructions and the signals for what a cell is trying to accomplish. So you have all kinds of cells in your body, and they actually all secrete exosomes. So when you have, say, a mesenchymal stem cell, like we make here at Chimera, those cells are anti-inflammatory, and they also cause growth. If you had a regulatory T cell, those exosomes would be only anti-inflammatory. If you had, say, an inflammatory cell, like an angry dendritic cell that has seen a pathogen, then it might secrete inflammatory exosomes. So, the word exosome is very, very broad, maybe far too broad. In fact, you could call the Moderna vaccine is a type of exosome, and the virus is a type of exosome.
Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a thing or two. Tune in next week to the Regenerative Warrior Show for more ways to market, manage, and magnify your practice.